All right, let's dive into the work of a clinical psychologist who has a completely fresh take on what makes us tick, the hidden physics of why you do what you do. And trust me, his ideas might just totally change the way you look at yourself.
Have you ever had that feeling? You know exactly what you should be doing. There's a goal you want, a task you have to finish, but you just can't. You're completely frozen, and you have no idea why.
Dr. Lukens has this perfect way of putting it. It feels like your feet are literally glued to the floor. It's so frustrating and it's confusing, and it feels like some kind of invisible force is sabotaging you from the inside.
So what if that feeling isn't a glitch? What if it's not you being lazy or broken? According to Dr. Lukens, it's actually a clue, a signal that points to the powerful, unseen forces that are really running the show. And to get it, we've got to toss out the old rulebook.
You know, for the longest time, we've seen ourselves as this messy battle between three separate parts: our thinking brain, our feeling heart, and our acting body. But Dr. Lukens says no, that view is exactly what keeps us stuck. He proposes something much simpler, and frankly, way more powerful: a single, integrated system he calls emotion.
Now, don't get hung up on the word emotion. Emotioning is the whole shebang. It's the feeling, plus the thoughts that the feeling triggers, and the meaning we make out of all of it, all fused together. He says this isn't just part of what drives us, it is the end.
Okay, so if it's one big system, why does it so often feel like we're being torn in two different directions? Well, it's because inside this system, there's a constant tug of war going on between two very different parts of our brain. This conflict explains so much.
First up, you have what Dr. Lukens calls the lizard brain. Think of this as your ancient factory-installed software. It's all about survival instincts, that immediate, compulsive, twitchy reaction. It sees something and it reacts. No pause, no thought, just action.
But then we have the more evolved limbic system, and this is where the magic happens. This is where we experience love, connection, and a sense of purpose. And here's the absolute game changer. A well-organized limbic system can actually tell the lizard brain to stand down. It has the power to override those primitive panic signals.
So the big question is, how do we strengthen that limbic system and keep it in the driver's seat? Dr. Lukens' answer is surprisingly simple. We cultivate its most powerful force, which is love. But, and this is a huge but, he defines love not as a passive feeling, but as an active verb. He calls it committed benevolent interest, or CBI. It's a choice you make. It's a skill you build. It's something you do.
And he maps this out on a spectrum that is, well, it's fascinating and maybe a little intimidating. Think of it like a ladder. At the very top, you have aspirational love, that pure, unconditional kindness of a Mother Teresa. Just below that is perspirational love. That's where most of us live. It's the love that takes real work. But this is where things get tricky. When fear creeps in, we slide down to desperational, then to exasperational, until we hit rock bottom, decimational. That's where love is totally extinguished and replaced by contempt.
And this brings us to a really powerful question Dr. Lukens asks to completely flip our perspective. Just think about it for a second. Would you rather be the most loved person in the world or the most loving? Because while being loved feels amazing, he argues that our true power, our real agency, comes from focusing on being more loving.
And that one shift from getting love to giving it is the key to everything. It doesn't just improve our relationships. Dr. Lukens shows how it literally becomes the foundation of a meaningful life, the true source of our purpose.
He lays it out in a simple but profound chain of logic. It all starts here. Our ability to love, that committed benevolent interest, is what actually gives birth to our conscience.
Because when we love, we just know how we ought to behave to be true to that love. Our conscience becomes our internal compass. As Dr. Lukens puts it, it gives us a roadmap. It's not an enemy judging us, it's a support system trying to help us love better. And when you start following that love-based roadmap, something incredible happens. It naturally starts pointing you toward making positive contributions to the world. You just start looking for ways, big and small, to leave things a little better than you found them. And right there, that's the final piece of the puzzle. That contribution, the one driven by your love and guided by your conscience, that is your purpose. It isn't some cosmic mystery you have to go out and find.
It's just the natural, inevitable result of a loving way of being. It's simply who you are. So, if this is the path to a more meaningful life, how do we actually walk it? How do we consciously make that choice to be more loving and start climbing back up that spectrum? Well, Dr. Lukens gives us a very practical toolkit. It all hangs on that one critical mental shift. Focus less on being loved and more on being loving. And from there, it's just about building small, consistent habits. This isn't about grand gestures. It's about intentional acts of kindness, actively looking for things to be grateful for, and, this is huge, treating yourself with that same compassion. It all builds on itself. So, as we close this out, I want to leave you with a question that brings all of this right back home. Forget about finding your grand, lifelong purpose for just a moment. Instead, ask yourself this: what is one small, loving contribution you can make right now, today? Because according to this powerful model, that single choice is exactly where your purpose begins.